All right, Celtics fans, we are back to another episode of Boston Celtics Game Day Recap. I'm your host, Guy DiPlacido, and the Celtics come out with a monster win in OKC after 3 terrible quarters. They roll out 126-122. I have a special guest here. Got a new blog coming up. Justin, how we doing?
I'm doing good. How are you doing tonight?
Living the dream. Much better now that the Celtics won. Before we dive into this podcast here, gonna follow it the same way as normal. Do player of the game, run through some of the highs, some of the lows. But I want to give you a second here to shout out your blog. You posted a recap the last game on our Boston Celtics Till I Die Facebook page here. Loved it. Wanted to bring you on here, but want to give you a quick second here to kind of shout it out.
Yeah, so it's really just a startup, something I've kind of been interested in doing for a while now. It's just in the works, still have a lot of kinks to work out in it. The best place to find it right now is on Twitter. It's going to be at TJI_Celtics. I really haven't, I've only done 3 or 4 of them so far. So
keep up the good work.
Yeah, we're working out getting our own URL and everything, a subscription package, stuff like that. But that's going to be in the future. Want to kind of start building a base first. So right now, Twitter is going to be the best place to find it, at TJI_Celtics. And then in the same Facebook group, I'll be posting in there regularly, just off my personal page.
Love it. All right, well, let's dive into this game. Like I said, Celtics 126, Thunder 122. This is a nail biter. But as far as player of the game goes, Justin, curious, what are your thoughts here?
Well, I had 2 people that I wrote down. I'm going to start with Marcus Smart. I think that's kind of the obvious choice.
Obvious pick. Yep.
Yeah, he gets, there's a lot of love and hate with Marcus Smart. I know the shot selection sometimes is something that we as Celtics fans have an issue with, but I thought tonight he was outstanding. The defense late in the third quarter and in the fourth quarter really picked up. He's kind of, him and Peyton Pritchard were the 2 that I wrote down. I thought they were the 2 that kind of lifted the energy and brought them back from the dead, really. So I have to go with Marcus Smart. I thought he was excellent. Late in the fourth, he was hitting big shots. That's who they were going to. And it was a typical Marcus game. I really just don't have any complaints with the way he played tonight. Let's see, 22 points, dropped 8 assists, only 3 turnovers, which is a lot for how he's been playing lately, but still something.
In the grand scheme of things, we'll take that. We'll absolutely take that. No, but you're absolutely right. One of the things, I mean, that's maddening to most people when watching Marcus Smart is shot selection, as you kind of talked about. Tonight, every shot that he took, -1 late in that fourth quarter, was a great shot attempt. And mind you, the one that I was a little iffy on, I was like, oh, Marcus, why are you shooting this? And it goes in. So there are a couple just straight Marcus Smart plays. Like one of the ones that stood out to me was when he baited SGA into that offensive foul in the transition, like midway through that fourth. And that was one of the plays that really shifted gears. The Celtics defense started locking down at that point. The Celtics offense continued to just hit shots, because this wasn't a game where offense was shy, right? Like, this is a high scoring game.
Yeah.
But defensively, there were a lot of lapses in this one. Specifically, like the first half was a nightmare. We'll talk about that in the second half. But you're right. Marcus Smart, to me, is like the easy pick for player of the game. And I also did write down Peyton Pritchard, because in that entire like realm where we were down 15 points, there was one guy and one guy only that really pulled things together for the Celtics. You want to talk about like 3 possessions out of like 5 for Peyton Pritchard. He had that huge steal. He had that deep 3 to beat the shot clock, and then take it under 10 late in the third. And then he had that huge steal. and the bucket to end the third. So like in a 30-second span, he had 5 points, and they were 5 huge points when the Celtics were down a bunch. So he was another one that really stepped up and like played his role. And I love to see it. I'm a huge Peyton Pritchard guy. It hurts a little bit, obviously, with, Brogdon coming in. Brogdon's significantly better, right? No one's going to complain that Brogdon's coming in and taking minutes. But when you see a guy like Pritchard, like, actually get his time, it's really nice to see a couple shots fall for him.
Yeah, I think Pritchard I've never seen a player at his size get so many offensive rebounds to start. He
crazy.
Continues to keep possessions alive. He's always in terrific position to get offensive rebounds. And, we'll see come playoff time how he fits in or if he has a role. I know defensively come playoff time, it gets a little tough because teams like to go at him. But these early regular season games, he is such a great piece to have off the bench. He's an instant energy lift. Instant.
Yeah, no, he absolutely is. I mean, exactly what, we were talking about Aaron Nesmith as. Like, he was instant energy. Pritchard can actually hit shots.
Yeah, Nesmith, so whether it's good or bad, it was energy.
Yeah. But, no, I mean, the other guy to me, like, that stepped up in a massive way is Derek White. And this is, I feel like every single game I'm sitting here saying, Derek White's a guy that's going to go out, do all the little things. He's not necessarily going to light the stat sheet up. But tonight he stepped up. Like, he had a couple of huge baskets. End of the night, 16 points, 5 assists, 4 steals. So from a defensive end, like, when you combine Derek White with what he did tonight and Marcus Smart, this is 2 guards that are playing at just such a high level on the defensive end that it makes life really hard for other teams, opposing teams.
Yeah, I'm a huge Derek White. I'm a Colorado native, so we have Derek White and I have that in common. I'm a huge fan. He's not the flashiest player in the world. In fact, he's one of the least flashy players, but he just, especially defensively, he seems like he's always in the correct position. Yeah. He's not a big, get a big block kind of guy, but he'll be there. He'll play good position to defense. And especially tonight, whether it was late in the third or early in the fourth before OKC brought Shea back into the game, it seemed like he was getting steals on nearly every possession, starting to lead the fast break. And then, of course, late in the game, he hit one of probably the biggest 3 of the game to kind of put it away.
Derek Dagger White is the nickname that was floating around Twitter. So
I like it.
Loved seeing it.
Yeah, that's twice this year. I think with the Dagger 3.
He's been significantly more consistent with his shot this year. But you're right. Like, as far as defense goes, he is just always in the right spot. And I say the same thing on the offensive end too. Like, he is. Ime Udoka talked about it last year. R.I.P. Ime Udoka.
Yeah.
But anyway, no, he called him a 0.5 guy. And what that means, and I've talked about it on this podcast, like, when he touches the ball within a half a second, he knows what he's doing. He's either putting the ball on the floor, shooting, or passing. There's no exactly right. It is Pop in a nutshell. It's a guy that fundamentally is just so sound, and he fits in perfectly with this group because he's not someone that's going out there demanding a million touches, but he's going to go out there and make the right plays on a consistent basis. And that's what these guys need at this point, especially honestly with the addition of Malcolm Brogdon, because Brogdon is a guy that can go out there and create offense. And obviously, this is 3 straight games without Brogdon, but we've seen guys step up in his absence, and it's just great to see. Yeah, but I do want to talk about a couple other people here before we dive into some of the negatives. But Jason Tatum, I do want to talk about him in the second half as well, as far as like negatives go. However, there were a couple moments tonight. It's hard, right, with Jason Tatum, because every time you blink, he somehow has 20 points already. Like, he still ended the night 27 points, 10 rebounds, and I want to talk about him in the negative section. And that's a little unfair because it's not a bad game, but it's a bad Tatum game. right? But overall, the threes were not falling tonight at all. But there were a couple possessions where he continued to be really aggressive, getting downhill, got to the rim, 8 of 10 from the free throw line again tonight. So again, it's not a great game from Jason Tatum, but in needed moments, he got to the free throw line when shots weren't falling for anybody. So you got to love, that sort of tenacity from him, continuing to be aggressive, getting downhill. At least my thoughts on him, at least. But what about you?
I completely agree with the assessment of Tatum tonight. He's so good, right? I think it's pretty much it's unquestioned at this point. He's a top 5 player. In my opinion.
Top 3.
Yeah, top. I'll go there. I will go there, especially so far this season.
Yeah.
So I think that Scalabrine mentioned it on the broadcast tonight. It seemed like Tatum was missing everything tonight, especially his 3-point shot. It wasn't falling. And then at that point when he mentioned it, you look up and he had 26 points. And it
happens every game.
And it's just he was attacking downhill. I thought he was actually pretty solid defensively compared to a lot of the other guys.
Yeah, I mean, 3 steals, 3 blocks for Tatum. Really good numbers too. Like obviously the eye test is good, but the numbers are there as well.
Yeah. I think really the biggest negative would be the 3-point shooting. But I think he did a lot of other things really well, and especially attacking the basket. The biggest thing for me this year is he's been attacking to finish rather than attacking to draw contact and get to the line.
Yeah.
And because he's attacking to finish, he is also getting to the line. It's funny how those things work. You would think the opposite. But he's been so improved at that, and I like to see that tonight when his jump shot wasn't falling, he still was able to get to the line, finish at the rim. This is one of those early season games where I think last year or in years past, we look at the box score and Jason Tatum has 13 points. Not anymore. He's going to the rim. He's finishing hard. He's getting to the free throw line, and 27 points.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard to finish with less than 20 when you're getting to the free throw line 10 times.
Yeah.
So it's just, if he continues to do this, and obviously it's not 10 free throws every game, but the free throw numbers are up around 8.5, 9 for him this season. So he is doing it at a consistent clip, and it's paying off huge as far as scoring numbers for him and this team. But we did talk about the defensive side of the house. Jason Tatum did have a great game. 2 other guys that I thought played fantastic defensively were Al and Grant. And I want to shout out Al here because there were 2 straight possessions where Shai Gilgeous-Alexander found the mismatch with him and Al Horford in that fourth quarter. Back-to-back possessions. And Al Horford stuck to him like glue. And overall, the rest of the night, wasn't far off of that. I thought Al Horford played an excellent defensive game. Obviously, you know what you're getting with Grant. He's one of the most versatile defenders on this team, which is crazy to say with, Time Lord and Marcus Smart and Derek White on it. So Grant Williams, you can always expect that. But for a 36-year-old Al Horford to be sticking around with, what's the average age of the Thunder? 23 years old?
Yeah.
For him to be sticking on these guys and playing defense at such a high level, to me, is just super, super impressive. So it's a really solid game for him.
Yeah, he seems to have found the fountain of youth. He never ages. It's unreal. He's always going to be, if not the smartest, one of the smartest players on the floor, always going to be in good position. And he's so switchable, and come playoff time late in the season, I know we don't want to get too ahead of ourselves here. I mean, it's only game, 14? But he's exactly the kind of defender that wins you big games late in the season. And it's great to see that at age 36, he can still do that. He can still switch onto guards. And it's really not a huge issue. He's such a weapon to have. And Grant, offensively, their games don't really remind me of each other, but defensively, I think that they're pretty similar in that they're so switchable. You can put them out against just about any lineup that another team's going to throw at you. You can put one of those two or both on the floor, and you're really not going to have any terrible mismatches.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, overall, I mean, it's definitely not a super pretty win. And I do want to talk about some of the negatives here. Before we dive into the negatives, I want to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. This podcast is brought to you by Hopewell Hemp Farms. Hopewell Hemp Farms is your only source for the highest quality American-grown hemp products. If you're like me and love to be active, whether that's playing in an adult softball or basketball league, or your level of activity is limited to yard work, one thing is for certain. As you get older, joints start to hurt. Well, I turn to Hopewell Hemp Farms Body Butter to relax those joints and their amazing tinctures to help me fall asleep. Check them out at hopewellhempfarms.com today and stock your nightstand the only way I know how. Looking for an agent to help you buy or sell real estate? George Dimas at PD Properties is the agent for you. Sell now for a flat 3% commission on the sales price. PD Properties utilizes the most current marketing techniques and strive to put more money in your pocket. If you're looking to buy, call now and George will be with you every step of the way until you find a property you're able to call home. Serving the North Shore and beyond, call George Dimas with PD Properties today at 781-913-2290. That's 781-913-2290. NBA fans, the NBA action is just getting started, and so are the incredible offers at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can make any $5 NBA pregame moneyline bet and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Check this out. Right now, everyone can earn up to a 100% boost with DraftKings stepped-up same-game parlays. Go to the DraftKings Sportsbook app, place a same-game parlay, and combine multiple bets like which team will win, total rebounds, total points scored, and more. With payouts bigger than ever, DraftKings Sportsbook is where I go to bet on the NBA. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code TBPN. Make any $5 bet this week and get $200 in free bets if your team wins. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with promo code TBPN. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, so want to talk about some of the negatives here. Before I do that, I do want to take a quick second. There's something that I didn't mention in the first half was the defense as a team. 15 steals tonight. It seemed like every possession in the fourth quarter ended up in some sort of steal or just great defensive stance. So really impressed with that aspect of today's game. But I want to talk about some of the negatives here because there were glaring issues through most of today's game. But as far as like one thing for you, what is the one like thing that just makes you just sick about watching this game? Because there were a couple things today where you're just like scratching your head.
Yeah, I think the easy one for me is going to be the effort through the first 2.5 quarters. And look, I get it. It's a mid-November game against a Western Conference team that's probably not going to be in the playoffs. You're not going to play your A game against those teams every night. But really until that Pritchard Smart run late in the third quarter, I just thought the effort was just not good. It seemed like every loose ball was going the Thunder's way. They were getting wide open looks at three. I mean, how many times did we see off of makes? They were going down and SGA was getting layups on the other end. That's just the kind of stuff that can't happen. Even on an early November Monday night game against a bad team. You can't be giving up layups off of makes. It just can't happen. So I was really disappointed with the effort through the first 2.5 quarters up until the Pritchard Smart run.
Yeah. I mean, I was like, the thing that killed me, and I tweeted this too, the amount of points that the Thunder had off of our free throw attempts
was
mind blowing. I've never seen anything like it. Like OKC, Sean Coates is talking about here, like they're pushing the ball hard. Like OKC knows how to play, right? Like they're young, they're super like athletic, but with young and athletic, there comes a lot of mistakes, and that was ultimately their downfall tonight, right? Like they turned the ball over far too many times. We turned the ball over 14 times. It led to 16 points off of those turnovers. We gave up 17 fast break points. They out-rebounded us 51-46. They had 10 offensive rebounds, right? Like they had a solid couple possessions. They had a solid lead through most of this. And a lot of it came down to the simple fact that, like, the Celtics were not securing any rebounds. We were not stopping them at all. Like, they were going out. They shot the ball pretty well. The Celtics were not. You know, the thing that, like, also it's super confusing to me is we scored 126 points in this game, but we shot 27% from three. So, like, you look at some of these stats, and it doesn't make sense. But the big number where things shifted came from the free throw line. So, you know, you saw them. The Thunder make 17, Celtics made 24. Right? Like, there's a big difference in that number, and that's ultimately where this game came down to. Like, we did a good job defensively down the stretch, certainly not in the beginning. First two quarters, 35 points for the Thunder in the first, 34 points for the Thunder in the second. A lot of it, like you said too, it was them just getting out running. And it's frustrating. It's frustrating basketball to watch. Fortunately for us, they turned it around.
Yeah, I thought as bad as the effort was in the first 2.5 quarters, I thought the last quarter and a half, they really picked it up. And when it was winning time, you could see that they were the more experienced team in that situation. We've mentioned the turnovers for OKC through the fourth quarter. You could, up until the point they brought SGA back into the game, they just had no one that could handle the ball on the floor, and it really cost OKC tonight to the benefit of the Celtics. Yep. So, you know, the effort issue was really just the first half thing. And like I said, I get it. Early season game probably isn't going to mean a ton towards any tiebreakers or anything. Or I could see how they could kind of push this one to the side, but I was pleased with how the effort picked up late.
Yeah, for sure. And this right here says it all. Last quarter, we were ourselves.
Yeah.
Sean Coach is crushing it with all these quotes here. I love it. No, but honestly, like, there's a huge difference when you see Marcus Smart playing Marcus Smart basketball. Like, we saw through most of last year, he played really well. And now we bring in Malcolm Brogdon, right? And the first 10 games for Marcus Smart, or first 8 games, weren't really that great. Right? Like, Marcus Smart was kind of back to his old self. He was throwing up shots. He wasn't really the facilitator. We saw a lot of Derek White in the starting lineup with that. I think, you know, Joe Mazzulla shifting towards Grant, putting Derek White on the bench, really defined Marcus Smart's role once again. And you hate for something like that to have to be the reason that it shifts his mindset. But for whatever reason it is. Right. But tonight, like, Marcus Smart was himself. John Corrales just tweeted this too. Marcus Smart was 4 for 4 from the field in the fourth and had 4 assists. So he accounted for 19 of Boston's 37 points. The Celtics are a completely different team when Marcus Smart is playing this type of basketball. Right. So when things like that happen, the Celtics go on huge winning streaks, which attributed to today's 7th straight win for the Celtics. And Justin, I wanna shift here for a second because we've got a little bit of news in the Eastern Conference world. Milwaukee Bucks. This transitions right into what we're about to talk about here. So the Milwaukee Bucks lost to the Hawks tonight.
Mm-hmm. Just lost. Night.
So if you're looking at the Eastern Conference standings right this second at 10:36 p.m., Boston Celtics are number 1 in the Eastern Conference with an 11-3 record. Going back in that three-game loss span where the Celtics kind of fell off the wagon. We started off super hot, 3-0, fell to 4-3. There are a lot of people panicking, right? I'm sure you saw it just as much as I did. People were talking about, Celtics needing to hire Ime again.
Mm-hmm.
Strictly because of the losing streak, right? It's not because of the way like Joe Mazzulla has been doing. I think he's had a great season so far, but they were talking about getting rid of Marcus Smart, complaining about him. They were talking about Jaylen Brown not stepping up in certain spots. They were talking about all of the negative things and kind of, losing their shit a little bit because we went on a 3-game lose streak, or not 3-game losing streak, but 3 out of 4.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And right now, tops of the Eastern Conference. So overall thoughts so far, because it's been a roller coaster of a season already. Overarching thoughts from you.
I mean, overall, you said it, top of the Eastern Conference. I would have liked to see the defense get off to a better start, but we're really not going to know a lot about this defense until we get Robert Williams back. He's the anchor of the defense. Yeah. I get Smart, Defensive Player of the Year and all that, but in my opinion, Robert Williams is the anchor of that defense. Yeah. So I would have liked to see the defense be better, but, they've had the best offense in NBA history so far.
Yeah.
It's really hard to complain about 11-3, top of the Eastern Conference, in a 7-game win streak.
Yep.
And of the 3 losses, 2 of those came in overtime. And I think that there's a lot more positives than negatives. I think that there's 14 other teams in the Eastern Conference that would trade places with us right now. I'll say it that way.
Yes, there are. One of them being the Brooklyn Nets, who are right now not in the playoff picture at all, including the play-in. So that makes me happy. It makes me laugh. But Justin, I appreciate you hopping on here. We're going to wrap things up. Before we hop off, one more time, just give them your Twitter handle and where they can find you.
Yeah. So once again, it's going to be at TJI_Celtics. That's the Twitter handle. And then I'll be posting a lot in the Celtics Till I Die group chat on Facebook.
Excellent.
Like I said, I plan on getting a few other things up and going, a few other platforms, but for now, that's where I'm at.
As soon as it's up and running, we'll have you on again. We can launch it there as well. But Justin, I appreciate you hopping on. For those of you that are watching this, if you haven't done so already, make sure to follow the Facebook page that Justin mentioned, Boston Celtics Till I Die. Follow me on Twitter at NBA Celtics Guy, our YouTube page, Boston Celtics Game Day Recap. And as always, 5-star written review. Everything helps. Have a great night, Celtics fans. We will talk soon. You couldn't help it. I know you felt it. Green and white and green. Who are we, the Celtics? Who are we, the Celtics?